Asia Pacific region, ICOMOS. Today, we invite 2 keynote speakers and 3 panelists to make their presentation. After that is open discussion. Because we have a lot of participants, if you have any question for the speakers, please type in the chat box only. We will not have oral question, just type in the chat box. Thank you very much. And in the opening, I would like to introduce a special guest, Mr. Sohadi Hartono, President of ICOMOS Indonesia, to make open remark. Mr. Hartono is one of the leading key person of the HIA serial meeting in Asia Pacific. Sohadi, please.
All right, thank you, Alex. Good afternoon and good morning to you all, our distinguished participants and guests. We are extremely delighted to see such a number of attendants at this webinar. And despite it's a Saturday morning or afternoon, depends on where you are right now, which actually is a perfect time for me time, for family time or hobby time. But apparently, we all are committed heritage practitioners or professionals who have regarded anything that has to do with advancement of our knowledge in the heritage fields as a perfect activity for our me time, just like now. So we warmly welcome you all to the second edition of the East Asia edition of HIA Webinar. This is an initiative of ICOMOS Asia Pacific Regional Network to discuss and share our common experiences, challenges, and gaps in our understanding of the concept, processes, and implementation of heritage impact assessment, a very important tool in protecting our heritage assets amidst the pressure of rapid physical developments across our heritage sites. These are the issues surfaced at our recent regional meeting, where I proposed the idea of organizing a regular webinar series in which our colleagues and experts from various sub-regions across Asia Pacific could share their insights and lessons when they implemented their activities in either composing, proposing, or supervising the implementation of Heritage Impact Assessment Report. I'm very grateful to have some ICOMOS colleagues from different countries in the working group, without whom this series of webinars would be impossible to get organized and launched. So remember these names, please. Faisal Abdul Rahman, President of ICOMOS Malaysia, Tino Paterno from ICOMOS Philippines, Alex Yan from ICOMOS Chinese Taipei, Jihon Kim from Korea, and Kai West from Nepal. Our heartfelt thanks, of course, should be addressed to ICOMOS Malaysia, who provides this Zoom platform, and also for the previous one, the first session, and to our colleagues at the Secretariat of ICOMOS Malaysia, who have assisted in organizing this webinar since its first edition. The series of webinars consists of 5 editions, representing 5 sub-regions throughout Asia Pacific. First edition, featuring experts from Southeast Asia, had been organized nearing the end of November last year. Today, we are going to learn from distinguished experts from the East Asia sub-region. On 6th February, it's the turn of our friends from Australia, New Zealand, and Pacifica sub-region to share. At the end of February, we are going to listen to experts from South India. And at the end of March, we are going to shift our attention to West and Central Asia. Each session has a rapporteur who will sum up all the important points arise from the discussion. In mid-April, during the Asia Pacific Regional Meeting in Seoul, South Korea, A final report comprising the findings or reviews compiled from each report coming out of this series of webinars would be shared and discussed during the meeting. We are hopeful that some relevant programs or activities related to our efforts to advance our understanding and enhancing our capacity in implementing HIA, especially in the context of Asia Pacific, would stem out from the discussions. At the end of this session, President ICOMOS Korea, Professor Jae-chun Choi, will explain further about this very important meeting of our region. So thank you again for coming. I wish you an exciting and fruitful session of sharing and learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Sohadi, to introduce the whole picture of the HIA sessions, series webinars meeting, and we are looking forward to more colleagues can join this event. And today we have, as I mentioned, we have 2 keynote speakers and 3 panelists, and Dr. Ji-hong Kim from Korea will host the keynote speakers presentation. Ji-hong, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alex, for your kind invitation. Hello, everybody. I'm Ji-hong Kim from ICOMOS Korea. It is my great honor to co-host today's webinar for East Asia concerning the Heritage Impact Assessment. To begin with, let us invite 2 keynote speakers. First speaker will be Ms. Miki Okadera. Ms. Okadera is an assistant counselor at the World Heritage Division at Fukuoka Prefectural Government in Japan, where she has been involved with cultural heritage issues since 2000, which is more than like 20 years. So as an expert and a site manager for the World Heritage Site, Sacred Island of Okinoshima and associate sites in the Munakata region in Japan, she will share the Heritage Impact Assessment in Japan. So please welcome her with a warm round of applause. Ms. Okadera, floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Ji-hong. May I share my screen? How can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see it.
So I will try to.
Can you just set it to full screen, please?
Can you see my screen now?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Perfect.
Please go ahead.
Hello, everyone. It's really great to meet you, and it's really honor to introduce you our case study today. I am Miki Okadera. I work for Fukuoka Prefecture, and I am a site manager of the Sacred Island of Okinoshima and associated site in the Munakata region. And my presentation is about impact assessment for World Heritage Site at site level in Japan. First, I would like to explain outline of HIA in Japan. Japan has 26 World Heritage Sites, and 5 is natural site, and 21 is cultural heritage site. Cultural heritage sites are managed by the Agency for Cultural Affairs, and each site managed by local government officials like me. And the national government shares information with local government about the latest trend and conservation management method and provide guidance and advice. And the national government has issued a reference guideline of HIA in 2019. They conducted research and studies with the aim of achieving the certain level of common understanding in the implementation of HIA at World Heritage Site in Japan, and organized the basic concept of procedure and method for HIA. And this guideline states that local government should manage each property to organize procedure and method for HIA based on the value and characteristics of each property. So in response to this HIA manual HIA manual has been developed by individual cultural heritage sites. And this is my site. I will talk about impact assessment for World Heritage Site level in Japan. This is the sacred island of Kinoshima and associated site in the Munakata region. This property is located in the western part of Japanese archipelago. And the OUV of this property has justified criterion 2 and 3. And criterion 2 is the property exhibit important interchange and exchange amongst the different polities in East Asia between the 4th and 9th centuries, and reflect the nature of the process of dynamic exchange that contributed to the formation of Japanese culture. And criterion 3, it is an exceptional example of cultural tradition of worshipping a sacred island, as it has evolved and been passed down from ancient times to the present. And there are 8 component property on 3 islands: Okinoshima Island, Oshima Island, and the main island of Kyushu. And we have 8 component parts. Among them, the 7 component part is owned and managed by Munakata Taisha Shinto Shrine, and it is located in Munakata City. And a group of ancient tombs, it is located in Fukutsu City, and it is managed by the city. And the Preservation and Utilization Council is responsible for the management of the property. The council is an organization consisting of the government of Fukuoka Prefecture, Munakata City, Fukutsu City, and Munakata Taisha. And the secretariat is the local government of the prefecture and 2 cities, in charge of the preservation and management of this property. And the council receives guidance and advice from the national government and advisory committee as necessary. It also carries out projects with the local community. And this is the procedure. HIA is carried out as part of the day-to-day conservation management and monitoring processes. When a project is planned within the property and the buffer zone, sometimes outside the buffer zone, the project undertaker submits either prior notification or application or permission to the local government. So we check its content based on the related law. When there is a possibility of negatively affecting the OUV of the property, it will be reviewed by an advisory body to the responsive department. And when it does not confirm, we may instruct, recommend, or order the project undertaker to take corrective measures. If there is any possibility of negatively affecting the OUV of the property, the World Heritage Department of the city and prefecture work together to consult with the advisory committee or the council about policies for harmonization. And basically, every project that takes in discussed at the twice a month meeting between the prefecture and the cities. If we think the project effect impact on the attribute of OUV, we start HIA. So information sharing and coordination between the World Heritage Department and the relevant section within each organization are essential for the conservation management of the property. And we documented all projects that did not go as far as producing an HIA report and the changes that result from them in the monitoring reports that we compile annually. And if we think we need we will ask the opinion of advisory body or third-party committee or and the component part of the property, that means most of the attributes of OUV are regularly protected by the law for the protection of the cultural property. They are designated as historic sites, natural treasure, and so on, according to their specific value and characteristics. Designation makes it mandatory to obtain prior permission from the national government for any acts that would alter the existing state of the designated cultural properties. According to the type of designation, individual management plan has been developed, including concrete policy to deal with alteration to the existing state. And in our property, there are around 10 changes to the present present condition each year. All are checked, and in particular, those related to the investigation and maintenance of the property are carried out after obtaining confirming from the advisory body. And we have the huge buffer zone. The buffer zone extends approximately 60 kilometers north-south and 12 kilometers east-west. One of the attributes of OUV is open view towards the Secret Island. So the management of the buffer zone is very important for our site. The marine area are covered by the prefecture marine area ordinance, which prohibits the installation of offshore structures. And as for the land area, based on the Landscape Act, which is a national law of Japan, and cities have developed landscape plan and landscape ordinance. According to them, development acts are regulated and guided, include height, form, design, color of building, and other structures. And in the buffer zone, approximately 50 developments are carried out in the buffer zone each year, and around 8% of these require coordination. The map of the right shows the distribution of projects carried out in the buffer zone in 2023. Also, before the inscription, World Heritage Site, the observation deck was built right next to the property. At that time, measures were taken to reduce the visual impact through coordination with various stakeholders. However, the procedure was not clear at that time, so there were a lot of confusion. Based on such experiences, we thought it was necessary to organize the HIA procedure for our property. So we formulated a HIA manual for our site in 2019. This manual is based on the reference guideline of the national government. It is also response to the recommendation of the World Heritage Committee at that time of the inscription of this property. And this manual organizes the necessity and procedure for HIA for this property. And it also clearly states that criteria for determining whether it is necessary to prepare an HIA assessment document to greatest extent possible. We also have included a checklist so that applicants themselves can recognize the need for it. And in 2022, the guidance and toolkit for the assessment of the impact in the context of World Heritage Site was published. I would like to thank everyone involved. This manual was organized everything related to HIA. And what was particularly helpful for us was that it clearly stated the international format. Based on this, we are working to update our own HIA manual now. However, there are always translation issues with World Heritage. There was also a long discussion about attribute of OUV in my site. So last November, wider setting was discussed at the World Heritage Research Council meeting organized by the Tokyo National Research Institute. It is necessary to understand these terms and concepts and to convey the local people in our own words how we will protect World Heritage and pass it on to the next generation. So the protection of the World Heritage requires a deep understanding of the community. So we are focusing on raising awareness because we cannot gain the understanding of people unless they understand why the landscape needs to be protected. So one way is through brochures. These brochures show how the heritage site is related to the surrounding environment. We distributed them to all households living within the buffer zone at the time of inscription. We also holding symposium and public lecture creation on our website on HIA. So we've been making effort to promote understanding of the significance of protecting World Heritage sites. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Mickey, for your wonderful presentation. Could you close? Yes, thank you. Okay. Because of the time constraint, let me move forward. So next, let me invite Ms. Sujana Xu. Ms. Sujana Xu is currently the Chief of Heritage Executive of the Antiquities and Monuments of Office of Development Bureau and Adjunct Associate Professor of History Department of Chinese University, Hong Kong, and member of the Council of ICOMOS China. She has a long experience in heritage conservation, and it's very impressive that 2 of her heritage projects received an outstanding award of UNESCO Asia Pacific Heritage Award for Cultural Heritage Conservation back in 2000 and 2001, respectively. So today, she will share the Heritage Impact Assessment in Hong Kong with the case of Song Wang Toi Underground Train Station. I'm sorry about my pronunciation, but please welcome her with a warm round of applause. Sujana, the floor is yours.
Yeah.
Have 12 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kim. Good afternoon and good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to have been invited by the AAPA Heritage Impact Assessment Working Group to share the experience of Hong Kong on HIAs. My presentation will be divided into 2 parts. First, I will briefly explain the HIA mechanism in Hong Kong in the context of both legislative and administrative measures. Then I will discuss a case study on HIA related to the use of the site of the old airport in Kai Tak after the airport had been moved to Lantau in 1998. Right. Sorry. HIA are conducted in 2 contexts in Hong Kong. First, can you see the screen? Okay. First, they are fall under the Environmental Impact Assessment Ordinance, CAP 499 EIAO, which was passed in 1997 and enacted in April 1998. Designated projects that have to undergo an environmental impact assessment, including a cultural heritage impact assessment, are listed in Schedule 2. The authority on antiquities and monuments is the Antiquities and Monuments Office under Secretary for Development. The general presumption is that all cultural heritage sites should be protected and conserved, and adverse impacts on them should be kept to an absolute minimum. To assess the impact of the works on sites of cultural heritage, the EIAO requires project proponents to undertake a baseline study to compile an inventory of sites of cultural heritage, identify possible threats, and propose mitigation measures. The preservation of sites of cultural heritage in totality is preferred. But if site constraints and other factors render their full preservation impossible, this must be fully justified. Total destruction must be the very last resort and fully justified, with careful analysis that balances preservation and the interests of the community. Only if there is no possibility of preserving sites of cultural heritage as a whole should mitigation measures like integrating the sites in the new development be recommended for approval by the AMO. Sorry. The EIA process, in the EIA process, there are 2 public consultations. In the EIA process, there are 2 public consultation periods. As soon as the project proponent has submitted its project profile, which defines the scope of the EIA works, the public and the Advisory Council on the Environment are consulted. After the project proponent has completed the EIA study and submitted the report, the public and ACE are consulted again. The EIA process is transparent as all information is uploaded to the website of the Environmental Protection Department. Apart from the EIAO, the government implemented an administrative measures for EIAs in 2008 through the HIA mechanism for capital works projects of the government. The mechanism requires that even if projects do not fall under designated projects classified by the EIAO, they have to undergo an internal HIA mechanism to demonstrate the determination of the government to avoid or minimize adverse impacts on heritage sites. If the AMO confirms that a capital project would affect an heritage site, an HIA must be conducted. The project proponents must follow the HIA process stated in the guidelines detailed in the internal technical circular and complete an HIA report, including a conservation management plan if required by the AMO. If the AMO is satisfied with the HIA report, the project proponent must submit the report to the Antiquities Advisory Board, AAB, the statutory board set up under the Antiquities and Monuments Ordinance, Cap 53. If the board endorses the HIA reports, then the project proponent can submit a paper to the Legislative Council for funding approval. All heritage sites, the technical circular, and the HIA reports approved by the AMO and endorsed by the AAB are uploaded to the website of AMO. The mechanism is transparent. In 1998, the old airport in Kai Tak was relocated from Kowloon Bay to Lantau Island. When the old airport site became vacant, it was included in a mega redevelopment plan, and an EIA, including an HIA, was conducted. The EIA identified an important archaeological site as Sacred Hill, dated back to Song Yun Dynasty, and the historic Long Zhen Stone Bridge in Kowloon City, dated back to Qing Dynasty. On the archaeological site at Sacred Hill, there were plans for a large underground train station called Song Wong Toi Station. Song Wong Toi meaning terrace of the Song emperors, in reference to the legend that the final two Song emperors stayed briefly in Kowloon Bay in Hong Kong. As the construction of the underground train station would inevitably adversely affect the archaeological sites, a large-scale rescue excavation was required. During the excavation, significant relics and features of an ancient settlement dated back to Song and Yun dynasties about 1,000 years ago was found. So a public consultation was held to engage the public regarding mitigation measures. After the consultation and in response to public opinions, 7 archaeological features dated to Song Yun dynasties, including several wells in different constructions, building remains, stone footpath, and so on, were recommended by the AAB and approved by Secretary for Development to be preserved in situ for display in a future public park to be constructed above the Song Wong Toi underground train station. It was also recommended that an area inside the new underground train station should be reserved for display of the archaeological treasures uncovered in the excavation. The archaeological exhibition at Songwon-tai Station, which was opened in March 2021, attracted more than 10,000 visitors on its first day. This exhibition is the first and still now is the only archaeological exhibition set up in a train station. It is an effective platform to engage the public, as it will be renewed regularly to show our new research findings. The last renewal of the exhibition was in March last year, with more than 500 finds put on display, in which about 65% are newly displayed. The exhibition has already attracted more than 1.1 million visitors. As for the Longzhen Stone Bridge, which was constructed in 1873 and was in the vicinity of Songwon-tai MTR station, several archaeological investigation and excavation were held from 2008 to 2010. The excavations successfully exposed all the foundations and part of the bridge deck of the Longzhen Stone Bridge. Given these important findings, the public was consulted and they strongly supported their preservation. To further gauge the views of the public, a design competition was held to invite submissions to preserve the remnants of the stone bridge for the enjoyment of the public. The winning entry proposed constructing viewing corridors for the public to appreciate the historic stone bridge. The construction work of the viewing corridors is in progress, and the viewing corridors will be open soon. Sorry. Looking to the future, the roughly 900,000 archaeological finds excavated at Sacred Hill will continue to be studied in depth to better understand the role of Hong Kong in the maritime trade of ancient China. 7 archaeological features in the future public park above the Songwon-tai Station will be displayed to connect the Sacred Hill site and Longzhen Stone Bridge and other heritage sites in the vicinity, providing accessibility and interpretation to facilitate the public and visitors to Hong Kong to understand the history and heritage of the district from a macro perspective. This shows that the HIA mechanism in Hong Kong is an effective tool for identifying, conserving, and interpreting heritage and for engaging the public. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Susanna, for your very interesting presentation. I have several questions, but as we mentioned earlier, for those who have questions for Miki and Susanna, our 2 keynote speakers of today, please leave them in the chatting box so that they can read and prepare the answers later, which will be shared during our open discussion time. So now let me invite Alex for the further presentation, where I will be joining as well at the end. Thank you. Alex, floor is yours.
Thank you, Ji-Hong. And the 2 keynote speakers, the presentation is excellent, and that can help us to understand more about the situation, how HIA implemented in Japan or Hong Kong. Very interesting. And in this meeting, we will also invite 3 panelists to make their presentations. The panelists will also make their presentation as a shorter one and from various point of view. And first, I would like to invite Dr. Ke Xiaoxun from Taiwan. Dr. Ke is the section chief of the NCDR, which is the National Science and Technology Center for Disaster Reduction, which is a national level for the whole disaster reduction. However, this mechanism has a long-term collaboration with the cultural heritage. It's a very unique one. So Dr. Ke will introduce an integration disaster prevention technology and information network for the protection of cultural heritage, which is experiences in Taiwan. Dr. Ke, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Professor Yan. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ke Xiaoxun, and I'm from NCDR in Taiwan. Today, I will present how disaster prevention technology and information network are being integrated to protect cultural heritage. We know that cultural heritage is under constant threat from both sudden onset hazard and slow onset hazard. In this project, our main focus is on responding to a sudden onset hazard. This type of disaster can cause severe damage to cultural heritage in a very short time. To achieve this, we have developed integrate platform on information and integrates of the disaster context. All these data point. On this slide, you can see the four main components of our platform: information integration, risk assessment, hazard monitoring, and active disaster alert. I will introduce his key feature to show how they help protect cultural heritage from disaster risk. This platform first key function is analyze and displacing a disaster potential for each cultural heritage site. We aggregate data on flooding, landslide, fault run, and soil liquefaction, and even lightning streak or falling trees. Our system pinpoint which hazard may occur, how severe they may be, and where they overlay. Based on our analysis, around 13% of Taiwan's cultural heritage it was two type of natural disaster, and 1% phase 3 or more threat. By visualizing everything in one place, we give heritage manager a clear understanding of risk. And this result highlight the need for an effective warning system. On this slide, we see how the platform translate risk assessment into actionable alert. In earthquake warning, we provide seismic intensity and the location, flagging nearby heritage site. In typhoon warning, we show predict storm path, let manager protect keep structure in time. In heaven rain and flood alert. This alert triggered by rainfall threshold. Enabling early measure like sandbagging. In this real world case, Longshan Temple in Lugang, in central part of Taiwan, experienced the torrential rain on July 2nd, 2018. First alert was issued at 9 a.m. When rainfall reached our resort of 50 millimeter per hour. Second alert followed at 12 p.m. indicating scheduling risk. By 1:30 p.m., on-site personnel confirmed flooding around the temple. The chart on the side tracked both hourly rainfall, showing exactly why alert were triggered. Another key function of this platform is real-time imaging. We aggregate live CCTV feed not only from Bureau of Cultural Heritage, but also from agencies such as Highway Bureau and Water Resource Energy engines. This allows us to run on the cultural heritage side to check for flooding, crack, or other signs of the streets in real time. Just importantly, we do not limit ourselves to the heritage side alone. We will integrate video stream from partner engines covering the surrounding area, such as road, floodway, so that we can detect potential threat before they directly affect the site. Additionally, we are use AI-driven automatic image recognition to enhance disaster monitoring. Here, AI-driven anomaly detection help us to identify structural cracks or falling tree during earthquake and typhoon, to detect roof damage or flooding water, to trigger any movement of activities. This technology serves as an actual set of eyes, spotting unusual activity and notify a manager in time. Of course, we also need to get data from different sources. Our plan use multiple communicating channel, particularly the Line app, to push instant alert for earthquake, flood, or tsunami to user, and let the site staff submit damage report. After disaster, our platform enable synchronous reporting of the cultural site damages. The GIS mapping function visually pin damage location, show for 7.2 magnitude earthquake in Hualien, where 76 reported were logged, and digitalize review mechanisms ensures an orderly evacuation process. The initial reporting at local or site level, the first level review by county and city authority confirm safety and needs resource. The second level review at central government to finalize damage classification and coordinate large-scale assistance. So I summarize what we discuss so far. In this project, we are mainly accomplish 4 key tests: systemic risk eastern, intense friction, and proactive warning system, digitalized event database, regular reporting mechanisms. Looking forward, we purpose to keep working with Bureau of Cultural Heritage to deepen our data set. And we will improve the predict model and the early warning system by AI and big data. And we will study seismic damage model and climate change impact on cultural heritage. Okay, this is all for my presentation today. Thank you for your time and attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ke, and very, very detailedly introduced a very important integrate mechanism within the cultural heritage and the national disaster risk management platform. It's a very, very interesting presentation. So Let's move to the second panelist, as Ms. Li Hong from China, ICOMOS. Ms. Li is the project director of the World Heritage Institute of Training and Research for Asia and Pacific region, which center is located in Shanghai. Ms. Li has a very full experience in the field of conservation and the training on the cultural heritage. And today, Ms. Li Hong will share the top presentation, the Heritage Impact Assessment in China, and also take a very excellent case study of the Great Wall, which is a very famous World Heritage Site. Ms. Li, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Li Hong, and thank you for the invitation from ICOMOS China, ICOMOS Indonesia, ICOMOS Malaysia, and thank you for the coordination from Alex and Kim. So my presentation includes 3 parts. First is HIA at WeTrap, and the second is the HIA in China, and the third is the next step of HIA in China. So WeTrap, the full name is World Heritage Institute of Training and Research for the Asia and the Pacific region. We are UNESCO Category 2 Center, and our mandate is to enhance the implementation of World Heritage Convention for the Asia and Pacific region through training, research, dissemination of information, and the network building. So we set 7 priority programs, and which is in line with World Heritage featured activities, and also the urgent needs from the state parties. And heritage impact assessment in a World Heritage context is one of our priority. So since 2011 ICOMOS guidelines on HIA, we start to cooperate with ICROM to organize the international training courses. And we also contribution to the 2022 guidelines and the toolkit. So for your information, we have the 8th international training courses this year, and you are warmly welcome to apply. And please remember the deadline of application is February 22nd. Okay, so let me introduce the HIA in China. So before that, I want to emphasize the 5 key points that we need to improve related to the 2022 guidelines. First is the heritage impact assessment is a tool to manage change. And it is necessary to go through the whole life cycle of proposed action. And also, we needed to, as a site manager, we need to integrate the impact assessment to the existing management system on our national and the site level. And third is we need to think it as a sustainable development at a heritage-based approach, which means it is not only to assess the negative impacts, but also the positive impacts. And we also need to think about the property, the buffer zone, and the relationship to the wider setting. So these are the 11 steps that is mentioned in the toolkit and the guidelines, but which is missing in the guidelines is legal and implementation actors. So this is require us, the site managers, to fill in the gaps, as what the first keynote speaker, Miki, has already mentioned. This is needed from us. So for the case study of Great War, I think even you are not visit the site, but you're quite familiar with the property. So the Great War is one of the earliest World Heritage property in China that inscribed on the World Heritage list. And the proposed action is to build the high-speed railway between Beijing and the Zhangjiakou. And it is also need a station at the Badaling site. So as I mentioned before HIA, we need to look at the legal framework. So the AIA and the EIA, that is already embedded in many countries all over the world. The second is the regulations and the management planning that we also need to refer. For example, the regulations on the protection of the Great Wall. In item 12, it is already mentioned that there's no project is allowed in the protected area. And for the projects, it should avoid to cross the Great Wall. And in the construction control zone, if the project cannot be avoided, underground method is recommended. So we don't need to discuss again about the ground railway station. And the second is we also need to look at the management planning and different kinds of planning that on the site. For example, the Great Wall Conservation Master Plan. So when we do the HIA, we also need to refer to the management planning. So in some planning, it's already mentioned, for example, the buildings, that the size, color, and the volume, it's already mentioned to have certain regulations. So before HIA, you need to look at the legal and the regulation framework. And for the assessment, it is not only about outstanding universal value, we also need to look at the other values. Because as I mentioned, the World Heritage, the Great Wall, when it is nominated on the World Heritage list, it only have 3 parts, 3 sites. But you know, the Great Wall have 20,000 kilometers. So for now, we need to protect the Great Wall as a whole. So we have the Great Wall National Cultural Park. That means when we look or manage the World Heritage, the Great Wall, we not only look at the cultural part, we also need to look at the natural resources, the whole relationship at the site. So we need to look at the sustainable development of the whole site. And then when we do the assessment, we also use the digital technology to simulate the conditions. For example, geological conditions and the visual and landscape impact that we need to look at. And as I mentioned, the HIA is a tool to manage change, and it is a process to go through the whole process. So even in the operational, when the railway is in the operational, we still have the monitoring. So we will have the monitoring impacts at the regular basis. So every year we will report to the national level. So the next step of HIA in China, we just revised the cultural relics protection law in 2024 in November. So these are the items related to the HIA, and we will further interpret and explain the cultural relics law to the site and national level. And we will provide the technical guidelines for HIA in China. So we are looking forward for further communication and exchange and to you all. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Li Hong, for your interesting presentation, and very kind to share the information of the training course in what trap? Am I right? What trap? Yes. Do remember to visit their website and before the February 22nd. Yes. And yeah, I think there should be a lot of question will goes to Ms. Li Hong, maybe, but we have to wait. So let's invite the third panelist, which is also the host of the today, Dr. Ji-Hong Kim. Ji-Hong is a senior programmer specialist in Korea National Commission for UNESCO. She is also a board member of ICOMOS Korea. And today she will introduce the HIA legislation in South Korea and its challenges. Ji-Hong, floor is yours.
Thank you, Alex, for your kind introduction. Hi, you all again. I'm Jihan, and I'm going to share the very recent HIA legislation in South Korea, and also cast some questions to you all to get some wisdom from you all. So let me move. Well, before the legislation, we did have some HIA cases. For example, the Gwangju city, where one of the World Heritage Site is located, there was a big construction the project concerning the old bridge connecting two historic sites over the river. However, due to the recommendation from the experts, we did implemented the first HIA the project for this site, and then consulted with the UNESCO World Heritage Center as well. And then finally, the revised project proposal was passed. We also had another case recently for this archaeological site for the new buildings in the Buddhist temple in Korea. It's also one of the World Heritage sites for sure. And after revising the plan for the new buildings, this could be passed, and the construction was completed last year only. However, there was a big event which really inspired the Korean government to act something for the HIA to make some relevant legislation to regulate the relevant activities for the World Heritage sites. This Jangneung, one of the 40 royal tombs of the Joseon dynasty of Korea, the last dynasty which was there for about like more than 600 years. But anyway, this was inscribed on the World Heritage List back in 2009, but the large apartment complex was constructed without proper consultation with the Cultural Heritage Administration. Now we changed the name, and it is Cultural Heritage Service. And then there was a lot of concerns for this new complex impact on the landscape. As you can see in the photo here, you can see the entire very high apart complex over the mountains. And according to the feng shui philosophy, this location of the mountains and the surrounding landscape is very important for the royal tombs. And this was the key issues. However, at the same time, the property right for those residents is also important. So there is a big debate over this issue. The Cultural Heritage Service ordered the suspension of the construction, and then this case, went to the Supreme Court even, and the result, the conclusion of the Supreme Court was quite disappointing for the Cultural Heritage Service, because the judgment was that it is okay to have this large complex. So this case has brought the legal attention to regulations regarding the construction activities in the wider settings of the World Heritage Sites, because it's about the landscape. So there was a following action. Of course, we had some previous provisions concerning this kind of heritage impact assessment in the legislation, in particular within the World Heritage Act of Korea, which was enacted in December 2020. I believe Korea has one of the few countries in the world which has a specific provisions concerning heritage impact assessment, but rather in the Cultural Heritage Protection Act, which is the umbrella protection act for the all cultural heritage sites in Korea, had some provisions concerning the this kind of some possible activities which can bring the adverse impact on the heritage sites. However, with the case of the apartment, we thought that it's not sufficient to regulate all activities. So within the with the consultation with the site managers and experts. I think some of the experts are here with us for this webinar. Thank you for your participation. So we developed some provisions related to the HIA, and of course we referred to the UNESCO guidelines, and also found some examples from different countries. And well, I had a look at the Japanese cases, and thank you very much for the case introduction today. And I have several questions, but I will keep it at the end. But anyway, there were not many actually the cases where the country made a dedicated law for the heritage impact assessments for World Heritage. So we try to refer to the environment heritage law, like Hong Kong shared the case at the end, at the beginning. So try to revise the World Heritage Act as follows. So first of all, we try to put the definition of the HIA and the implementation of the HIA for the World Heritage sites, as you can see here. But the critical thing is that here in Article 11.2, there is the provision concerning that, saying that if it is deemed that a target project conducted outside of the World Heritage Zone will surely have significant impact on the outstanding universal value, then the administrator of the cultural heritage administration shall request the business entity to conduct the heritage impact assessment. So this is the key of the HIA legislation. I think all of you can agree. But the issue is that we encountered, although like we added more provisions concerning the heritage impact assessment things, we encountered very huge backlash from the relevant, even the government authorities within the Korean government, such as like Minister of the Landscape, because these kind of the new legislation can regulate the big development projects, so it can harm the economic benefit for sure. And we also couldn't develop the some kind of like beneficiary provisions for those the commercial companies who will conduct the heritage impact assessments. Well, we saw the Hong Kong cases where the company stopped for the rescue excavation. I think it lasted more than like several months for sure, but like I was not really sure where there was some kind of some rewarding for the companies for that rescue excavations. But this is another thing that we need to know and to conduct the research further to finish our enforcement law. Currently, enforcement law is under discussion still, and that's why I couldn't share it today with you all. But let me invite you all for our further discussion, because we do need some references from many countries, in particular for Asia Pacific, where we encounter a lot of high development pressures, in particular in the urban areas for the heritage sites. So we do need some kind of criteria or concrete like measurement for the wider settings, and also some possible impact for the World Heritage Site for its outstanding universal value. So let me finish here and look forward to our further conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kim. Now, we have 116 participants join this meeting, but however, in the chatting box, only 2 questions been submitted. One is for Mickey, and the other is from Mr. Peter Romy from Australia to Susanna. And I think maybe as a chair, I think I would suggest to have 2 minutes for the rest of the participants who can write their question in the chatting box. And besides that, maybe the 5 speakers, they can also ask each other some questions, such which Ji-Hong already mentioned. She has some questions. So 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Then we'll back to the discussion section and in 2 minutes later. Thank you. Okay, now according to our plan, we will have 20 minutes for the Q&A. So I would like to ask 5 speakers. Are there anyone who would like to answer the question from the chatting box? Mickey?
I'd like to answer the question from Jessica-san. Yes, thank you very much for your question. Main question. I would like to answer quickly for answer. The first one is the World Heritage Site in Japan adapted to the same HIA policy system as those in the Okinoshima. The answer is yes. It differs slightly, depends on the property. But basically, the management of cultural World Heritage Site in Japan is almost the same. They are managed in combination with a law for the protection of the cultural property and other laws, like our site. I know 4 or more cultural properties that has already created HIA manuals like us, and guidelines in the same way. And the second question is, does other Japanese cultural heritage also have a HIA policies or system? I think yes, it is. Even with our properties, the law for the cultural property protect many historical attributes. So the attribute of OUV is generally positioned as the most important attribute. However, it is only one of many those attributes. So before any changes to the present condition can be made, a lot of people are involved in the process, including experts and government officials, owner and other stakeholders, and the matter is examined. So it can be said that cultural properties that have been designated by national government basically have the HIA system. However, World Heritage Site doing this more systematically because we know we have HIA. Yes. And the third question is, how do other government departments work together with the HIA policy? Do they coordinate and match up really well? And I think this is a question about collaboration with other departments. And once a year, we ask them to provide us with a list of projects that are being carried out in the area related to our property. And we check the content of any project that look like they might be a problem. And if there is a possibility of an impact, we first ask them to share information with us, and then we start working together. By sharing information on a regular basis, we can share our awareness of the issues. And by involving them in management on a daily basis, we can also share information with them about what areas they need to be careful about. And there are various ways to collaborate. In the city, they often discuss this at meeting with the whole organization. And the prefecture is a larger organization, but we try to always try to involve other departments. When we create the comprehensive management plan or HIA manual, we call the relevant department and held a meeting many times to explain the plan and listen to their opinion and reflect that in the plan. But as you know, people change periodically in our organization, so continuous effort is required. And the last question, when there are disaster risks happen, can the real practical operational work in according with the set HI policy system? And it is a question about disaster response. As you know, Japan is a country that experienced a lot of natural disaster. Therefore, response is quite systematic. When something happens to a heritage site due to a disaster, a report of damage is submitted to the government within 10 days of discovery. The procedure of repair are same as usual, but carried out at a faster pace than usual. So in addition, repairs due to the disaster are given priority in the budget. So yes, that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thanks for Mickey's answer, and also thanks for Jessica's question. And I will go to the Li Hong, and then maybe Dr. Ke, Susanna, and Jihong will be the fifth speaker to answer the question. And the one question goes to Li Hong, or of course, besides that, you can also say something. Yes, Li Hong.
Okay, thank you for Alex. I want to explain one of the questions that from the chat box. Ms. Lee, for the climate change that I want to show, actually, I mentioned a little bit that we have the monitoring system. Actually, the platform, the full name is a warning and monitoring system. So I also write down the address of our website. So in China, the Culture Heritage Administration, they have this platform that is to manage and protect the world cultural heritage in China. And it's a monitoring system that is also referred to the SOC, the state of conservation. And the climate change, actually, it is one of the indicator that is in the system, in the warning system. So we also put all these things together when, if there's any, for example, the floods or environment change, these are the indicators that we need to look after regularly. So I can't explain it in detail, but it is true that the environment and the resources, the environment impact and the cultural impact, we do or think it in the warning and monitoring system. So this is the first question. And the second question, it is about what are the issue gaps of the 2022 guidelines adapt to the local conditions from Kai. I think I also mentioned in my presentation, the major gaps, it is how to embed the impact assessment into the existing management system. So this is missing from the 2022 guidelines, because the 2002 guidelines, it is international guidelines. So they cannot touch all the sites, all the countries in detail. So that's why we need our intelligence. So the site manager need to think about it. And I think Miki and Kim already show a very good example from the national level and to the site level. And for other places, I think it is also needed in the national level and the site level. And for other gaps, I think because whether all the projects need to go through the heritage impact assessment process. So these are also need to be considered. Because as Kim also said, that in our region, we face many development projects. So how we screening and scoping these things, this is need at site level and the national level need to think about it to have our adapt to our management system. So this is the major gaps I think that we need to fill in. Yeah, thank you. Hand over to you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Li Hong. How to integrate the HIA with different authorities is very big challenges. Yes. Now, Dr. Ge, do you have any comment, ideas?
Yeah, there are no question for me, but I want to share some experience. Our platform has a dynamic update mechanism. They can continually collect real-time data from monitoring point, keeping the risk status visible on the map. If warning threshold need adjustment, for instance, if flooding worsen, our professional team revise land in real time. And using app like Line, we enable community members and volunteers to report local conditions, such as rising water level or soil erosion in real time. This local input is vital as it provide immediate information the official monitoring system may miss, greatly reduce the time gap between warning and action. Finally, we strongly encourage international cooperation. On one hand, this allow us to learn from other regional successful case. On the other, we can jointly develop a more advanced system and start contributing to a global effort in the cultural heritage disaster prevention. Yeah, this is my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ke. And now let's go to the Susanna. The few questions from Australia and Nepal. Kai, they have a question for your interesting presentation. Susanna. You are mute, Susanna.
Thank you,
Okay.
Alex. Regarding the question from Peter, Peter is asking me about the MTR station project, whether the project proponent has to go through the whole process, HIA process. The answer is yes. As my presentation is confined to 12 minutes, I didn't elaborate on the process of the HIA in the context of the EIA. The MTR has to go through. Actually, they have to first do a scoping form, do a desktop research to see what heritage falls into the project area. And also within 15 meters, from the project boundary. Desktop research is the first step. After they have completed the preliminary study, they will discuss with us. We may agree or may not agree to the reports. If we agree, then we'll see whether the works can be the design of the works can be changed so that the heritage could be preserved. Our principle is that of course we want the heritage to be preserved as much as possible. But in Hong Kong, as you know, we are a tiny city, and most of the area are either in rural area or protected under the country parks ordinance. So what the area we can use for development is not too much. So in Hong Kong, we have to accept there will be changes. But we have to make sure that the development, the changes will take good care of heritage. We will ask for a sensible balance between developments and heritage conservation. Sometimes we can preserve the whole heritage site. Sometimes we cannot, only part of it, or like the Song Wong Toi Sacred Heart, not Sacred Heart, Sacred Hill site there, because Hong Kong has to construct a new MTR line in which the site, Sacred Hill, will be affected. So after all the stages, the mitigation measure, after public consultation, we could accept was rescue excavation plus preservation of 7 archaeological features to be preserved in the future public park, which will be constructed above the MTR station. I must emphasize that the whole process is transparent, and what we treasure is the public consultation period. We engage the public throughout the whole, EIA and HIA process. I have another question there's another question for me about the role or how we see HIA as a tool. HIA in Hong Kong context, as I mentioned in my last slide, is a tool for balancing heritage conservation and development, for public engagement, and for education. We can't, to be honest, we can't use the tools to stop all the development. We must accept that nowadays the whole world is changing, including the small city Hong Kong. We have to move on, but through the process, we have to make a sensible balance between heritage conservation and development. And we also use HIA as a tool to educate the public, to engage the public. We do want to work together with the public through the EIA and HIA process, and so that what we are decided is for the benefit of the public. This is a very important spirit in the HIA mechanism in Hong Kong. Any more questions that I haven't responded?
Yeah, I
Yes,
think it's
almost, yes.
yeah, I think it's quite clear.
Okay,
And
thank you.
And thanks for Dr. Zhao Xiangxun from Korea already sent some link to share the link. And also I'll ask if it is possible for Ms. Li Hong, can you paste the website which you just mentioned, the monitoring the mechanism, the platform in the chat box for us to visit. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
And
no problem.
yeah, thank you. And now let's go to the fifth speaker, Jihong. It seems there are many questions goes to your side. Yeah, very interesting question.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Yeah, thank you, Alex. But we have only 4 minutes left, so I will be very quick. The first question is from Kai was like if there is a difference in addressing chance finds and activities in a defined heritage site. For Korea, for the chance, I mean, like how can I say, if a construction project happened to find some archaeological sites for during their construction, we do have some rescue excavation like Hong Kong, and then there is a specific the provisions concerning that kind of regulations and the required activities for that. But I cannot say that that is only for heritage, World Heritage, but it's for general the culture his site. So there is a little bit of differences. Maybe Susanna can add a little bit more. And another question was about the court cases that I mentioned. Actually, as far as I know, for the World Heritage Site, this was the very first court case which the Korean Heritage Service. Now, I told you the name has been changed, but the government had to encounter, and I hope there's no more legal suit like this. So that means there wasn't any successful court cases for the Korea Heritage Service so far. The third question is, I think it is not only for me, but like for all. But there is one question concerning some criteria which can determine if the development or activities in the World Heritage Site area requires an HIA or not. Well, according to many countries, the legislation, for example, the Australia and the UK has a very concrete provisions defines the development or activities which requires HIA. So Korea also tried to include that kind of a very concrete the legislation for enforcement law, but so far we couldn't because it requires a lot of further consultation with the relevant government authorities and the experts. So I think it is because it's very follows a local context. That's why it's very difficult to present very concrete the criteria for the determination concerning the requirement HIA things for the development projects. And I appreciate the comments from Dr. Zhou, who said we need some awareness raising campaign for the architects. Yes, we do need, and I hope the upcoming Asia Pacific regional meeting, which I'm gonna invite Professor Che at the end for his further explanation, can be a good opportunity for many architects in the region to be aware of this issue. So that's it for me. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you thanks for the all 5 speakers. We are just on time. So before we move to the closing session, allow me to say something that as I know, the HIA is a very important issue and challenges for all over the world. And the Asia Pacific region to host such 5 serious web meeting is a pioneers activity. I have to say that because in other regions, they didn't have. And we are trying to make it better and better. So there are 3 more meetings in front of us. Please join us and encourage your colleagues to join us and to disseminate this very important information to your friends, colleagues in your country. Thank you very much. And I have to special thanks to Professor Okada. Thank you. The president of ICOMOS Japan and Professor Okubo, who helped us to recommend Miki Okadera sensei to make her presentation. Thanks. And now we are moving to the closing session, and Ji-Hong will chair the closing session. Ji-Hong.
Yeah, thank you, Alex, for your wonderful moderation. While the closing is not really long, but it contains very important things. So please stay with us for 1 or 2 minutes. So this really leads us to the closing. As Sohardi introduced at the beginning, today's webinar will contribute to the upcoming ICOMOS Asia Pacific Regional Meeting to be held in Seoul in April for further discussion on HI concerning common challenges and some possible common solutions. So let me invite Professor Jae-hyun Choi, President of ICOMOS Korea, who has been sparing no effort for the successful organization of the upcoming regional meeting, for some few remarks. So Professor Choi, floor is yours.
Thank you, Jian, and thank you, Alex, inviting me and giving me a floor to introduce the Seoul, the AP regional meeting. Just let me take 3 or 4 minutes for you, just to sharing our information about the Seoul meeting. Can I share my screen with you?
Sure, you can, but I'm not sure whether you are authorized to share. Let me see.
Okay.
Oh, yes, you can.
Can you
Thank
see
you.
that? Okay, I like to briefly introduce the general outline of the ICOMOS AP regional meeting in Seoul. And it will be held the April 15th to the April 18th. So Tuesday to Friday, Seoul. And the venue will be held in Primer in Konkuk University, where I just hired now, and also close by the Hotel Ribera. And the main themes is challenges and corrective responses facing heritage in Asia Pacific region. That is quite the big umbrella concept to covering all of the quite variety of interesting field. And the 4 different small detailed subjects like heritage impact assessment, as you suggesting us today, and also heritage interpretation, climate change and disaster management issues, and the integrated world heritage and the intangible cultural heritage and the memory of the world. And we call it integrated approach. What is our future way forward? So this is hosted by the Korea Heritage Service and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which means that most of the funding sources is to government institution, and organized by the ICOMOS Korea and myself. And also Category 2 Center, WIPIC, is quite heavily involved in our event. And there are quite a lot of supporting the institute for our meeting. And this is actually the place for the conference located in my own university, and its capacity is over 350 seats here. And this is the hotel just we are engaged for our accommodations, and the whole landscape of my university. Give me a little more details, and today you can find our registration link on the ICOMOS Korea website. That is the World Wide Web ICOMOS-korea.org.kr. At the front page, you can easily reach the registration link. And this registration open until the end of the February. And we are expecting over 150 people around. And there is 70 international scholars and 50 ICOMOS experts and 30 other the international guests. And there is several the participants. Actually, this is the list. I'm going to send the official invitation letter. There is one seat for each ICOMOS national committee. So I invited the president for each national committee. We have 21 national committees in Asia Pacific region and 12 not organized yet, the national committees. But as far as the budget allowing us, I like to send all the official invitation letter to all. And here, ICOMOS AP board members, these 4 people should be included, and the ICOMOS Pacific Asia Regional Meeting Committee is also included. And we will provide the full support, including the round-trip flight ticket and the all meals and local accommodations. And there is a category 2 centers. I don't know if their budget is allowing. We don't give them a flight ticket, but maybe we can cover up whole of the accommodations and the meals. And there are some regional representatives not including in the national committee president, but in that case, we also happy to providing some meals and accommodation cost. And then this is actually the first come, first served basis. So please do not forget the link, then try to register as early as possible. And this is detailed programs. The first day, we're going to have a welcoming party, and the second and the third day, we're going to have a main conference day, covering a whole 4 different subjects: heritage impact assessment, interpretation, climate change, and comprehensive approach. Then the last day, we will going to have a site visit. But the first morning, we have a special session for the ICIP, that is the International Council on the Interpretation and Presentation, which is I'm now the vice president for that. So this is a kind of an optional case. You can join us. And the fully afternoon, we're going to have the field trip around the Seoul metropolitan area. And this is actually draft program endorsed by the Susan here, our vice president. And the opening session, after plenary session, we're going to have a quite important the paper presentation here. And then each 1.5 hours, we're going to give them a thematic sections covering up all of the interesting themes. And here is the focus party and HIA focus party here. And the focal point is already designated within our circles and Asia Pacific ICOMOS members. So Kai here, Yan here, Susan, Karim, Ivan, and Rima, and all is here. And this is a second day programs, and like the pretty much the same format. And the focal point, I'm expecting them to give us some information and a good idea how to organize each session. Okay, and this is all. And I hope you enjoy the meeting at Seoul. And a lot of people worry about the Korean political turmoil, but you don't have to worry about that. We have enjoyed quite normal everyday life as it used to be. Yeah, so, okay, Alex, thanks for inviting me. Thank you, Jian. Thanks all for sharing us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Che. The last one was very interesting. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Korea is a democratic country, so we are safe to travel for sure. And thanks to the very interesting introduction from Professor Che, I believe many of you are ready to register, which I shared the link in the chatting box, and also ready to travel to Seoul soon. Because of the time constraint, let me really finish today's webinar. So the recordings will be shared through YouTube by ICOMOS Malaysia later, so where you can see the presentations and discussion of today. So let me conclude today's webinar. So once again, thank you all.